Welcome to the Agents of the Unexplained podcast. From a haunted abandoned asylum to Sasquatch lurking in the dark woods and watching you, and all things unexplained, here are the stories from outside our realm. With your host, Bill Rigby.
Hey everybody, I'm excited for tonight's podcast because we got a really great person. Now, she contacted me when she saw Barb Horn-Hartman shared my event about the conference next month. Oh my God, I had 11 days. So I'm screwing up there. We got 11 days. And let me tell you, this young lady, very intelligent. She got it all going on. And I've seen a lot of her work, which we're going to share later on. But definitely, let me bring her in. Hi, Sydney. Miss Sydney Stewart, everybody.
Hi.
Everyone's seen my thing that I put up. No, I'm on the wrong page. Here we go. She's a professional psychic, energy healer, certified spiritual healing practitioner, a high priestess, paranormal counselor. Wait a minute. Before we go any further, how old are you?
I'm 25.
See what I mean? She got to get going on. Paranormal counselor, spirit and psychic portrait artist, and the owner and founder of Spiritual Simple. I was going to say so softly.
Oh.
I'm trying to read on that little screen over there. Better clean my glasses. All right, let's go back to your psychic part.
Okay.
All right. Kind of explain that for some of the people that might not understand what psychics can do.
Okay. So whenever you're looking at psychics, you're looking at people who use their sixth sense or any of their clair senses. We have 4 clair senses, and all of the other psychic gifts fall under those 4 as kind of umbrella terms. We have clair sentience, clairaudience, claircognizance, and clairvoyance. So that's like your psychic sight, psychic hearing, psychic knowing, and your psychic feeling, which is more commonly known as empathy. So
Right.
for me, I do it both remotely and in person. I've been psychic for as long back as I can remember. I've been very clairvoyant. I was raised, my grandpa, he passed away in this past year, but he was Cherokee. And I was raised with him kind of like with a lot of earth worship, and there wasn't a lot of segregating parts of myself or like closing those autonomous gifts off, I guess.
Right.
Like in my belief system, in my practice, these things are gifts that we are inherently born with, and then we develop them and we can train them up. Everybody can develop their psychic ability. It's like a muscle. So doing that and using that is something that I've always done. Definitely when I was younger, I didn't know what was going on. So I was like, oh my God, what is that? The thing that you do, like, I think I saw a shadow. Oh no, that thing.
Yes.
So I lived like that for a while. And then about in 2016 is whenever I took a really deep dive and started doing metaphysics, started doing healing, started doing paranormal counseling, both teaching others, learning myself. And right now I'm in a paranormal group. We work with others around the globe, and we've had some wonderful opportunities that way.
That's awesome. That is really awesome, Sydney. And the thing too, like, you can harness this power per se,
Mm-hmm.
or you can block it out.
I've seen plenty of people, especially whenever they start to, a lot of us will use the term like waking up, or like, tapping into their third eye, or, starting to
Right.
undergo enlightenment, whatever you would call it. People, when you start to see things that aren't necessarily of the third dimension of like the physical world, and you start to see with your mind's eye or out of your peripheral, a lot of people get scared, and some people even will shut it down and try to like repress their psychic ability because they're truly afraid of it, instead of, you know, being taught that it's a gift and part of them and something that they can work with to heal themselves and others.
Well, the reason I said that we can block it off is
Yeah.
I want to say 12, 11, 12. I had this dream. A good friend of the family, the son got ran over and killed.
Mm-hmm.
We get up that morning, go down to get breakfast before school, and I asked my mom, did Timmy get killed? Did he get run over? Mom says, no. That evening he did. Exactly how I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't sleep for 2 nights. I got so paranoid about that. I know I blocked that ability out.
It can be scary, especially that.
Yeah. I was like 11, 12 years old. And I blocked it out. And I don't know if I'm 65 now, so I don't know if I really want to bring that back.
I was going to ask, so have you started tapping into it again?
I haven't tried. And here's a question right away for you.
Okay.
This is for Angel. Hey, we were just talking about this. Ask her, how do I get my block away? Get it turned off to open things up.
Yeah. So whenever you're looking at your psychic development, I find that whenever it's children that block it off, it's not as harsh of a block as whenever you block it. So, for instance, if it's something that you got scared of when you were around, 11, 12 years old, you had a nightmare, you were seeing things in your room, and you decided, I don't want to see this, it's too scary, or your brain decided to just start shutting down or dissociating because you could not mentally handle it.
She blocked herself because no one believed her, and she got a whooping for it.
It's so sad that happens. It's because even when it is something that is truly paranormal, and we go through the list of could it at all possibly be mundane way before we reach that, but even in a situation where it's not, I don't think the response is to condemn someone and bring immediate, like, that is such a harsh reaction.
Well, let me give you a little rundown on her.
Okay.
She is the ghost chick. She can see them. She does research them. Mm-hmm. She tries to work with them. But she was at, I think, where this other site even said, they're trying to talk to you.
Yeah.
Talk to them. That's why she wants to try to release that block.
I think that makes perfect sense, especially like how you put it. So wanting to release that block, you're wanting to like engage that psychic ability again. So one of the workshops and classes I teach is actually psychic development. I have one coming up in Cynthiana, Kentucky in May. It's a 4-class workshop, but I also do them privately as well. As far as things to recommend to unblock yourself, whenever we block it, again, backing up a little bit, as an adult, and we're more conscious of that decision, the more conscious we are about it, the harder it is to unblock, because it is kind of how I like to explain it is, imagine you had a third arm that was invisible and you just didn't see it, but you could use it, right? It's just how much awareness you have that you have it. So when we block it off, it's almost kind of like rubber banding a tail. It's almost like you were to cut circulation to this off. And
Okay.
the more intention you do that and the longer it sits, the more numb this is going to get, and the more physical therapy or whatever, what have you, to actually work that back up and get that active, it's going to take more, especially because whenever we awaken to having gifts in our lifetime, and we close them down, we have to go through this process of proving that we actually truly want to reawaken them. And our guides kind of put us through our paces a little bit of, are you sure this is what you want to do? Step up a little bit, prove that you're willing to put in the work to do this before we actually reconnect this part for you.
Okay.
Sorry, I'll ramble
Yeah.
on.
No. I'm mentally taking notes on this.
So yes, for unblocking. So again, you have clairvoyance, which is your psychic sight. For developing it, you want to focus on your. Some people say like the mind palace. Truly using your imagination, using visualization as a tool, are some of the most potent, powerful tools that you have in your arsenal, in your tool belt for everything that has to do with your psychic ability and psychic development. You have clairaudience. This is where you're going to hear psychically. So typically we'll hear and know in pairs. Our psychic abilities will come in pairs most of the time. So we have all four, and you can train all four up to be at the same level, and we have them and use them as they're needed. But typically we have folks who can do psychic sight and empathy together, and then folks who have clairaudience who do the hearing and the knowing. And every once in a while you'll get them a little bit more mixed, but that's typically like these are your two dominant, these are your two recessive.
Okay.
And all of them up. Unblocking, one of the best things you can do is go to your guides and say, I want to develop psychically. I want to step back into my psychic self. I want to reconnect with my gifts. And they will, make sure, for lack of a better word, have a conversation with you that you may not be able to hear the other end of. So to you, it may look like signs of them saying, are you sure you want to be able to see again? And then you might see something and be tested on, okay, if this is going to spook you, are you going to try to shut it down again? Something like that kind of scenario.
I can understand that. Where they basically testing you to make sure you're going to go through with it.
Essentially, yeah. It's like with anything else. You put in the work, and you spend time for your development. Asking your guides is so. It can be overlooked oftentimes because there are so many great exercises and like tricks and like tips for development. But even asking your guides, they have the capability and the ability to pull you into the astral plane and to work with you whenever you're in your sleep, whenever you're like in your subconscious mind, when you're not even really focused and thinking about it. It'll kind of, that's where that intuition of your guided self, of your higher self, will come in, and you'll already know how to do something, and your guides will also be conversing with you, even if you don't necessarily hear it, and you'll kind of get that feeling of, oh, I think this is what I need to do now. And it may be as simple as you close your eyes and you do some visual meditating. It may be, you lay back and you lay a penny or a crystal or something on your third eye and focus on that pressure. There are so many ways to develop yourself psychically.
Oh, that sounds like an interesting thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Angel says she's jumping in both feet.
You got it.
And she will. She just figured something out. Put it out there. Come on, Angel.
The other thing that I strongly recommend is when you are doing psychic development, take the time to learn some basic psychic defense. But you will hear me say this a million trillion times because I tell it to everybody, but especially those of us that are in the paranormal fields and those of us who are in the psychic fields and psychic realm, in the astral realm, those of us who practice in any kind of sense that's not necessarily only third physical dimension, learn some basic psychic defense, because it will improve both how you're able to carry yourself and your confidence whenever you go into somewhere that may be paranormally active, and it means that it almost gives you like more light in the room, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it
Like
does.
you're
To me, it
walking,
does.
yeah, like if you're walking into a room and there are 12 ghosts there and all the lights are off, and that's what we're going to say if your third eye is not necessarily active. If all the lights are off, 12 ghosts in a room, you walk in there, you may feel them, maybe you may, hear your name, you may use like your equipment if you're into ghost hunting and catch some really good EVPs, or you might get a really good thermal. But whenever you're working psychically in this sense, you engage your third eye, and all of a sudden you're able to see, oh, there's a woman there who looks like she's from the 20s. It looks like her clothes are still kind of like, if even if she had drowned or something, you would see this kind of like wet, like heavy
Right.
fabric quality. There's so much that can be attested to when you have several very legitimate psychics in one room who can all vouch that they are seeing the same thing or seeing different parts of the same story.
That's the thing. You got to be able to use your third eye and your senses.
Mm-hmm.
That's. I always tell everyone trust your gut, but that's one of your senses.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, especially when we're out in the woods researching and investigating any cryptids, and it's just really a lot to draw into yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to trust your gut. So you got to trust your memory too, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
And another good thing about what you just brought up too is when you're saying that's a lot to take in whenever you do all of that stuff, learning some basic psychic defense before you, or even if you're already currently or seasoned in the realm of doing paranormal or cryptid investigation, that psychic defense can save you a lot of trouble.
Yes.
It can, help, it can aid you in a situation where you would have otherwise been followed home by something. It can, you will have the ability to clear off that heavy negative feeling, or that someone's watching feeling. You're able to deter those things when you have good psychic defense.
The other Angel, she will be at our conference.
I'll be
Angel
there.
Angel, she's one of our sponsors, and she's going to have Ed there with her. Ed's in the table. He will speak to people.
Okay.
You got to check that out. But do you have a website?
Yes. You can find me at spiritualsosimple.com.
Okay, I will send me the link to that in Messenger, and I will put it up on my agent's page.
Okay.
And yes, so there you go, Angel. She goes, does she have a website? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
now let me explain something about Angel.
Yeah.
She got me to go with her on an investigation at the old Butler VA hospital.
Okay.
288,000 square feet. 5 floors, a basement, and a sub-basement. Let me tell you, there was so much activity there. We was just doing a walkthrough to get, the feel of the place, check it all out. and figure out how we're going to do this. The next 5 hours later, we were coming out of there saying, oh my God, wow, this is crazy. This is awesome. And I actually got a buddy there. He's been Vietnam War time, and he's in the crazy ward. No wonder he likes me. No wonder he likes me. But yeah, it was just totally awesome, and connecting with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, Joey, you're right, Angel, Joey, and he liked me and Angel's daughter-in-law. The one guy he didn't like because he asked if he was in the Navy. He cussed him out.
No, a lot of them still have personality.
Yes.
And it's really funny. Sometimes it can get kind of skeevy, but I think I haven't investigated a VA hospital. My brother actually used to work at a VA hospital, but a lot of just old asylums or hospitals get really interactive activity, to say the least.
Yes, very much so. Like I told you, I'm going to be speaking at HillCon at Haunted Hillview Manor. That used to be the county home for Lawrence County, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And they got a lot of activity goes on there too. And places like that do have a lot of activity. I was kind of worried about going to the VA hospital here because that's where my wife's father passed away. I'm like, I sure in hell don't want to run into his spirit because he might not like me. You know?
Oh, no.
But Beth Stasko is asking, should we fear those ghosts that stay haunting in one place?
I think fear is a really strong reaction, unless something is making you fearful in and of itself. There's like a mindfulness that we can develop with the way we pay attention between, is this something that is trying to be fearsome and trying to make me feel fear intentionally, or is this something that freaks me out because I'm not used to it? And kind of having that radar is a really good thing for interacting in any kind of paranormal sense, because whenever you're feeling this one and you're feeling that something is trying to intimidate you into feeling fear, you have a whole other protocol, and you want to get professionals involved who know how to handle that, versus if you are experiencing a ghost who is just, he's used to walking up a flight of stairs to go to his shift, and so you just hear that stomp, 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 stomp. That's probably fine. 99% of the time, you're golden for most situations like that.
Yes.
Now, I will say ghosts in and of themselves can also get kind of nasty. I don't know, Bill, if you've encountered that before.
But we had, I want to say, not evil, but angry.
That's absolutely correct. Like, that's I would agree.
He was angry, and he wanted to travel with us, and he traveled back out of that room that he was in. And Angel, because as soon as I walked in there, I felt his presence. I felt like this ain't right. And I stepped back out real quick, and I went up to where Angel was, a little farther back in the hall. I said, there's something down in there. I feel it.
Yeah.
And so we went back, and she says, oh, man, he's not happy. He's angry. And we went to leave that room finally, and she says, no, you stay. You're not welcome to come with us. And she kind of stopped them. I can sense them. And when we first walked in, they brought us in through the auditorium, which they were supposed to bring us in the main lobby, but the security guard brought us in the that. And Angel says, we have one in here. I said, I know, I feel it, but I'm not sure exactly where. She said, straight ahead on the stage, near where we're walking. And I'm looking over like, I don't see it, but she can actually see him on that. And that's like with Joey, my buddy there. I asked him, I says, do you want to stay here? Would you like to go be with your family? He didn't want to leave. He says, no, I like it here. Mm-hmm. And when we were getting ready to leave the room, I said, we're going to walk down the hall. You want to come with us? No. He was comfortable where he was at. Mm-hmm. And he wanted to stay there. So, yeah, it is what it is. And that's husband John right here. He made a nice long story here. He had knee replacement. Third eye is important in all investigation. And some people call it your advanced intuition. I can also sense ghosts. I can activate my psychic shield very easily. Need that not only for ghosts, but even more so for demonic possessions. There is demons out there. I'm not going to deny that. I can't deny that. Have I ran into one yet? Thank God, no. No.
So, sorry to like double back and then get to this, if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. As far as the ghosts, because I want to make sure I answer that other question too. Or for us to discuss it. So she asked about being fearful if they stay in one place. So ghosts, they actually keep their personality the same as when they're alive. So the same way you would walk, from here to anywhere else, anyone that you might come across, good, bad, and ugly, you can encounter that in ghost form. I have met truly revolting predatory ghosts that are violent and vile, because that's how they were in their human life.
Right.
That unfortunately walk amongst us every day with ill and, as they are. And actually, to bridge that other point too, a lot of times, for people who, they're out living their day-to-day life, they may not interact with the paranormal knowingly, but they have still ability. They'll contact us and they'll be like, I feel like there is something, demonic in the home or something like that. A lot of the time it's a nasty ghost.
Right.
Not necessarily demonic. And the rare cases where it is demonic, it's a whole other ball game, but it's about really, sorry, I don't want to go deep into like demonology or anything right now.
That's a different show. That's going to be a different show that I will bring you on.
It's a different genre, and I just like, as a hopefully not hot take, I don't think that just anybody should be trying to practice demonology until you are extremely confident in your psychic development, in your psychic defense, and that it is a calling for you to do. Because whenever you go looking for trouble, you will find trouble. So that's what I say a lot of the time. Whenever
I can honestly say that, and not the paranormal sense, but in real life. I'm looking for trouble. I found trouble. So it can be that way too.
And then as far as the ghosts still have their human personalities and opinions, and even times they can be affected by latent and energy left over in places over time that can impact ghosts the same way it would impact us to be trapped somewhere over time.
That's something what John's saying too. He ran into demons years ago, just one. Most terrible thing he's ever seen. Also part of an investigation that involved the exorcism of a 10-year-old girl. Me and him talked about this before.
Mhm.
But remember this, once you engage with a ghost or a demon, you open up a two-way dialogue, so you must be careful. He's right. You do open up a dialogue with them.
It's about that. If you go looking for trouble, you'll find it.
Yes.
Back again.
Yes.
We deal with, I don't know how many cases a week where it is unfortunately a demonic instance. So we'll deal with something where, it presents itself in different ways for a lot of people. It'll pick some person in a family and try to isolate them. It'll start with nightmares. You'll get the things that you would be like, oh my God, and think that's so fake, where it will really show up like bruises or scratches on someone. Or
Right.
those things do show up and show about. But there are plenty and plenty and plenty of folks who are fully capable of dealing with those situations. So I don't think that anyone needs to live in fear.
Here, I'll put that back up. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I just can't. The text is small for me.
I agree with her. I think the longer they are stuck, they get a little cranky.
And so
Excuse me.
once we actually pass on, once we go from being, so we have, when we're alive here in our physical, in our like human self, our spirit, we're here. Whenever we actually pass away, we're in our ghost form, and we can exist in there until we're ready to enter into the next state of consciousness, or into the heavenly divine plane, however you would want to call it. Once we actually pass over fully, we become a spirit, no longer a ghost. And once you're a spirit, you really lose, you retain your memory, you retain yourself, like your essence, but you lose that human baggage of emotion and trauma, because during that time of passing from ghost to fully into spirit, we become a being of unconditional love. And all of the things that we experience, we learn from it, and we choose to leave it so that it may, teach others.
Right.
We go on past that. So once someone is fully passed over, you connect with them, there's a very different sensation with a spirit versus a ghost as well.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. John actually says ghost residual can imprint themselves upon a home or property, which residual energy is common.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. Some people think, oh, that's a ghost. No, it's residual energy. There are ghosts. I live in a very old steel mill town. We definitely got ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
And we got residual energy. One of the famous steel mill magnates that helped build this town, his mansion's up on the East Hill. His wife can be seen in the one upstairs window frequently. You think the owners of the place let us come in to do an investigation of it? Nope, they don't want that known as that, because it's now a bed and breakfast with a guest spa, and the place is beautiful. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So we do have ghosting. We do have residual energy. It just that people don't understand that. That's the worst part of it all, is having them understanding residual energy.
I find that residual energy is something, whenever you're first doing like paranormal consultation, or cleansing yourself, even it can be as simple as that. A lot of the times, people who are affected by situations where they feel like there's something in their house, or even if they've just had a really bad week, or they're around somebody else who is really narcissistic, or somebody who is really hateful or really negative, we carry that residual energy until we either ground or cleanse it and clear it out. So
Right.
even if you may have dealt with the heart of the problem, you have to have commit that next step of going and clearing things out and cleansing from there to have a good starting spot to heal.
Right. Shelley Stetzer says this. She agreed. We have residual at work. It's the same day of the week at the same time, and he's totally unaware of us. It's just his energy, and must have been his routine at some time. Plus, she works on a railway, fueling the energy. Yeah, there's no thought process. Definitely residual. Man, that's if there's no thought process. Yeah. Let's see. John said he's years ago he spoke with Hans Halsler, the world's foremost ghost hunter parapsychologist. He said that most regular hauntings last about 400 years, and then they move on or possibly reincarnate. What do you think of that?
That's really interesting. I don't know of a time. I would be excited to learn more about whatever the standard time frame may be. I do think it's right in whenever the time is right, we go on and we experience life again. I personally remember about 10 or so, maybe a few more of my past lives. So I am of the belief, I know of our reincarnation, of whenever we're in the ether before we incarnate down. I think there are even times where if you see me pause and stop, I'm listening to my guides. I'm not trying to ignore you.
I figured that's what you was doing.
Yeah, there are plenty of times that we actually will still have essence on this earth, and we will still incarnate again. It's the same. Oh, okay. They're explaining it to me now as it's the same way. There's a little channel coming through of what they're saying. They're saying, yeah, there are plenty of times where that kind of residual energy will be left behind, actually, and we will go on to incarnate again. But it's the same process of, if anyone is familiar with like going back and collecting soul shards, like pieces of ourselves that we leave in different past lives because something traumatic has happened to us. So being able to actually go back and retrieve those is going back and getting that residual energy that's left, and you stay in this state of you're not really aware that you are missing anything up until it is beneficial for you and the right time for you to go reclaim that soul shard. So then you will go back, get it, and it heals that part of you, and it's almost like a puzzle piece. It just, you slot back into yourself.
Okay. But you got to have your John says that those shards are often mistaken for deja vu. Maybe.
I know for
but
me,
you got to have the right mindset to be able to accept those shards from your past.
Yeah.
In other words, you're saying.
Yeah, it's about the right time, the right place, and the willingness to, and committing that you are worth going back and retrieving that for. So I had a client within this past week. She is truly a wonderful, amazing, and she's really starting on her journey, and she's starting with jumping in with both feet. And we went back and I helped her, or I guess she really was able to tap into it herself, which I was so happy and proud to see. Whenever we were talking about it afterward, I was guiding her there to this past self where she had left it. And as I was walking her through the steps of going and getting her soul shard, she told me after the fact that she was able to fully be there and see what was there before I would tell her what was there. And it was just so supremely validating for her to be able to hear that. But she opened herself up and was in that place of acceptance to go back and retrieve that soul shard. And that was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah, that is. Uh, Spoken, my buddy, got this question. And it does make sense. I've wondered this myself. I have a question. In all of the old time ghost stories, the ghost was described as rattling chains. My question is, what happened to all those chain rattling ghosts? People still live in those locations where the chain rattling ghosts were heard, but now there's no more chain rattling. What happened to all those ghosts? Was it chain rattling, or was that just something that sounded like chain rattling? What do you think, Sydney?
I haven't personally experienced that I can recall a ghost that sounded like they were in chains, but I have encountered ghosts who, worked in mills and factories, where you can hear that machinery or they're attached to that machinery. In the area where I live, there used to be some kind of, I don't remember what kind of mill it used to be, but I mean, if you just wait until evening time in the summer, especially, is when I notice them most often. You'll see kids 7 years old running around, like, astrally 7 years old running around with like one arm all messed up because they lost it somewhere. So
Right.
I still interact with or see ghosts that are, I guess, from very old times, but again, it raises the question of, I guess, when is the right time for them, and kind of when do they want to go over, and are they causing a problem so that they need to be taken over?
You mean you can forcibly make them go over?
It In a situation where there is an abusive ghost, in a situation where there is an abusive ghost, the same way as it's an abusive person, you are able to almost kind of like be like, hey, you got to go. And it's about, again, having your psychic defense, knowing that you're doing something within cosmic law and within bounds. You're not playing and breaking rules. The rules of what you're doing. Yeah, you absolutely have a right to defend yourself, and you have a right to defend those people who ask to be defended. So you can move somebody along when they're causing harm.
Okay. John even said the Indians from India in the Hindu religion claim that once we die, our Atman/soul is shot into a vast belt of energy around the earth until such time as they are recalled back to earth by some unknown mechanism to inhabit a new body. It's a cycle of past lives until we attain nirvana through consciousness expansion.
Even then, in the belief system, there are times where the ascended masters, those who have already reached nirvana, come back and they teach us and they help us raise the vibration. It's really wonderful. We've actually entered into the age of Aquarius right now, so we just exited.
Yes, we have.
Yeah,
and I'm an Aquarius.
So we exited the Piscean age, which was all about our technology, our science, our intellectual development, if you will. And
Yes.
think everything we accomplished, from the Industrial Revolution to going to everybody carrying mini computers in their pockets. That was all so fast in the Piscean age. Yes. And now we're in the age of Aquarius. So we're going to have of course, there's going to be a little bit of bleed over both ways, to kind of have this transition. But in the age of Aquarius, we're focusing on the whole, on spiritual enlightenment, on integrating wellness in a sense that talks about our mind, body, and spirit all together as one, not just in a way where things are branched off and separate. We look at things as a whole, and we are to raise the vibration in the age of Aquarius. In the age of Aquarius, you'll notice a lot more people like waking up to themselves and connecting like spiritually, connecting in like more holistic ways, connecting with the earth. These are all trends that you'll see come back with like a force in the age of Aquarius.
Okay. One of my oldest friends kind of answered Sparky's question there. Stereotypical thoughts of chain railing comes from the legends of ghosts of slaves. Most of the ghost stories of the myth and legends stem from the Old South. The howling and chains are supposed to be the traits of slaves.
I would fully understand that that's what it was. That would make sense to me.
He studied a lot of that stuff. Rob and I built haunted houses.
Mm-hmm.
So he did the in-depth researches on the ghosts and everything else. So, and I'm taking his word on that part of it. That, you know,
And same as anyone else, any living person, any person that's ever lived can have a ghost. So
right.
I don't see why that would be, especially when we are trapped in, some of us, you know, become trapped in our most traumatic moments.
Yeah. My friend Kenny Stiffy's just joined in watching. Where he lives at, he is an old mining brickyard town.
Okay.
There's weird things that happen there. And of course, he lives up in the edges of the Chestnut Ridge Mountains area. So, yeah, we got the Bigfoot up there. I know for a fact we do. I live near there. And you got the ghosts, and you got ghost stories there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very interesting. And, you know, these old mining towns got a lot of paranormal that goes on there. I felt some weird stuff in the one area near where Kenny and I lived. It's a little community called Climax, not the big name Climax, Pennsylvania. This is a small little community right outside of Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
I felt some weird stuff down in there, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And I wasn't into heavy researching there. You know, so I started doing more of my research once I moved from there back up to this town I'm in now. And that's when I start full-time researching this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Mothman 46 says, any experiences with animal spirits?
Yeah. I actually, where we live, you can probably see it's a very like cabin-esque little place. I live, I call it the witch cabin in the woods, like the little witch house in the woods. Tucked away, we're back in a holler. I have tons of little, they're like cat spirits.
Yeah.
Like little shadow cats is what I call them. So I interact with like, we see probably 10 a day of those just in the house alone.
Oh, wow.
They're very active. They're very loved. They're cats. They're fully, they're vetted in the sense of, I know they're shadow cats. They're good. As far as their animal spirits, I don't think this would necessarily be an animal spirit, but there was, I think I mentioned this to you when we had talked previously, Bill. It's one of the strangest experiences that I've had. And I deal with a lot of like paranormal stuff, so I'm not nearly as well versed into cryptozoology, although I've had sightings of things myself. So it looked like a deer. We have a lot of white-tailed deer. I'm like right in the heart of in northeastern Kentucky. And it looked like it was a deer from the front, and I'm driving on like a curvy road, you know, headlights going with me as I turn. And as I saw this deer, I looked, you know, that feeling when you're like, that uncanny valley feeling of this isn't right,
Yes.
and put your finger on it. I was like almost overcome with that, and I was like, this is wrong. Um, and I keep looking at it, and I'm turning, and as the headlights flash up on it, and we're kind of going up towards and past it, it was flat. Like it looked almost two-dimensional in like a weird kind of way. The best way I can explain it is coming up on it. I called it a not deer because I was like, it's not a deer. Like in the way I am, I was like, it's not a deer, it's a not deer. But I was like pulling up, and it looked wrong. Like once we passed it, its face like shortened and it looked flat. It was not like a deer face. It was like flat. And
Like it
it's
was a cutout, a plywood cutout of a Bigfoot.
almost, yeah, just
Yeah.
like, but only in the face. And the body of the deer started moving like that of a large cat. Like, you know how cats, when they stalk, like their hip down, and like their hips, like cats have a very specific way that they move, like when they like stalk and things. And this thing, it's like its hind body, and it's like it was stalking and moving like that of a large cat. And I don't know, I just called it a not deer. And once we passed it, I was like, well, we're not turning around, and just kind of kept going.
Oh, why not?
I'll deal with a lot of things. A lot of things. Didn't want to
That
do
would kind of freak me a little bit too. I was like, okay, what the heck am I? But I would have turned around and went back.
Well, it was where we were. Not that cemeteries are bad in any kind of way, but
Yeah.
we're talking like in the middle of the night. We're down a back road that's like swerving everywhere. There's like a cemetery here, woods on both sides. So there's almost no cell phone reception until you get a little further back up. And I was already tired. If I'm not I don't remember what I don't think this was one of the evenings that we ended up rescuing a cat because because we were sometime around that time we had rescued a cat and went like had to take it to like an animal vet like in the middle of the night. One of the
Right.
like an animal ER. They're stupid expensive because all the other vets.
Oh, yeah, we got one close to us.
Yeah, we had this little cat that had like a chunk out of its neck, and we took him. And I don't remember if that was the night and that's why I was out so late, or if it was something entirely different. Who knows? It scrambles me almost still because I'm like, what is that? I've had so many like paranormal, astral, a good amount of encounter experiences, but I've never seen another not deer. And I did meet someone once. I was speaking at a convention in West Virginia, and I was sitting in someone else's panel when it came up, and I was explaining the not deer situation, and somebody shouted up from the front of the panel room in the audience that they had also seen a not deer.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that helped you to know that you just wasn't seeing something from your mind.
I knew I had seen it, but I was like, that's crazy.
Angel, Wendigos are not in that area.
Oh, where I am?
Yeah, you don't have the Wendigos. The Cherokee. I'm trying to think. If Ryan Tremblay was on, he'd clarify it for us.
I've encountered one in this area.
A Wendigo?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was very nasty. It was probably around 2017 or something like that. It's been like years and years, and I was not as confident in knowing what to do in a situation with seeing a Wendigo other than moving right along. So that is what I did. But it was a very territorial situation.
Right.
It Yeah.
Shelley says interdimensional shape-shifting deer. She had to look for it, but she has a video of one.
Okay. I appreciate that. Please send it to me if you find it. Interdimensional is a realm all of its own.
Yes, very much so. Shelley and her husband, if they can swing it, they're coming to the conference. I hope they do.
Yeah, please.
They're great people, great researchers. They're from New Jersey.
Okay. I have a couple of friends. They do Bearmont Paranormal in New Jersey. If she knows them, they might be from the same area of New Jersey. The paranormal scene, most people know each other if you're that close.
They're more the cryptid researchers.
Oh, okay.
But I had her on my podcast, and at first I'm thinking, oh, this lady's a crazy. And she started explaining and putting things all in perspective. I'm like, oh my God, she ain't crazy. She's actually seeing this shit. And it was totally blowing my mind. And I totally believe her. She's talking about the interdimensional, not the people. Well, some people should be interdimensional. But yeah, they are. Shirley had some really crazy stuff happening at their place, and it was just nuts. And if they make it up, she'll probably tell you the story. Yeah, it's going to be an awesome conference. That's for sure. I just know. I just feel it.
I'm excited for it. Can't wait.
Oh, Roger, I did not order the damn windstorm again. Last year, I had straight line winds that hit about 2:30, 3 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
It actually blew over a granite statue up at the courthouse in Mercer, which was about 12 miles away. And it knocked the power off for an hour and 40 minutes. Dan Hagman was up talking about UFOs, aliens, and abductions. Someone gave him a bullhorn to keep talking because the power is off. Nobody was leaving. And he was still trying to talk. Mike Hartman gave him the bullhorn that he had with him. And he talked for an hour and 40 minutes. No, wait a minute. Mothman, how in the hell did I cost you $2,000? I didn't summon the storm. Jesus. But yeah, someone yelled at me when that storm was coming through. And they said, man, this wind's getting nasty. I looked out and you can see stuff just flying past the front doors. I went, holy cow, and then the power went off. I went, oh, man, here we go.
Oh, no. Hopefully that stays the way this year.
Angel thinks she was pretty sure Dan called the aliens in.
Yeah.
But yeah, but the conference was just totally great, with all the people that showed up, all the people that participated, and the vendors, the speakers, a great lineup of them. And this year's conference, you're going to be there. Thank God. I'm glad you are. Oh, wait a minute. Folks, I got to bring up some of her paintings.
Oh, okay.
And
so these these are aura portraits that I do. So in my psychic portrait art, I kept getting the question of, well, what does my energy look like? So much so that I was like, just hang on, let me draw it for you, is how that all came about. but they're read from 9 to 15 months out in a large size like this. That is, I believe that's Sam's portrait. I can't see, but
Yes.
very small.
Yes.
And I read them clockwise. So I'm actually writing a book right now on aura anatomy as well. And your aura has, right now, everyone agrees on it, has 7 layers. In my book I'm writing, I'm arguing for 9 layers because I would like to count our physical body as the first layer, because even our cells contain energy. And then into outside of our common layer, we get into the what everybody would mostly call like the conscious zone of our collective consciousness. I think that is like the human auric field. Anyway, so this is Ada's aura. I read them clockwise, so you can see some of what's coming forward. Anytime I do all of these by hand, by the way. This one has quite a lot of pink coming in over her. Whenever you
Right.
see the colors of the aura crossing over the physically drawn person, that's whenever it's extremely potent or extremely relevant to them. And because they are 9 to 15 months out, you can keep up with them if you do multiple and see how your aura changes over time. So they're pretty fun.
What is that little bag that's hanging off the frame?
I make like an aura care kit. And so whenever there's like you get the full interpretation and the breakdown of your aura. Like some people like to have the keys where it just explains on the bottom, like pink kind of represents this, orange is this. On the back, you get the full breakdown of, the orange energy in this may stand for this, this, and this. This is the way that it's moving. This is what it feels like it wants to generate. This might be what's standing in your way of this energy moving forward. So there's a full kind of description and interpretation of everything on the back. And then in the bag, there are crystals that will attune to your aura and help strengthen parts of it that may be weak and empower it. There are directions and like how to cleanse your aura thing that I normally
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Okay. All right. I hope I have time for you to do mine. But here's this.
Yeah, so this was part of my Stone Guardian series. It was actually featured in Gallery 610. I had a solo exhibition with my psychic portrait art there. It went from January 27th to February 29th, I want to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it lasted about a month long. It was a solo exhibition. It was very successful. I got to come do an artist talk to people who came out. I got to interact with people and kind of them through the process.
Right.
In this one, these are all representative of the stones that I worked with while painting each one. And it talks about the kind of universal universal programming in each stone.
That was very good. And here, I got to do this one. You might not have to explain it, but.
Yeah, that's me.
So I had to throw that in there too.
Well,
but yeah, doing those paintings, it does help people feel better and to understand better too.
Mm-hmm.
And I do appreciate that. So, and hopefully I get a break so you can do mine if you're not too busy doing one.
I'll save a spot for it. We'll make time.
I'm not guaranteeing I can get in that. Last year I was running around like my head was cut off.
Mm-hmm.
I got more help this year. I didn't expect I needed that much help last year, but I did. I got some really good volunteers this year. Oh, there's one more picture I want to show. This one here. Jeff's aura.
This one was actually super cool. I don't know how big it is for everybody else, if you can see, but in the top of this aura, so it turns out Jeff actually works on the river, and fishing is a big part of his life. And if you look on the top there, you can actually see like the aerial view of a fish sitting on top of his head. He also had a lot of like Cancer water energy coming forward. So I won't do the whole like breakdown of his aura for, even though they said I can give, some away, but for privacy I won't do the whole breakdown.
Right.
Like super.
Which we accept that.
Yeah.
We respect people's privacy, even on my cryptid research or the paranormal research. We respect their privacy. We won't put nothing out there they don't want us to put out.
It's so critical for both for their safety and comfort, and for them to have trust in you again, and for your reputability.
Yes. Someone demands that I give out more information. I just tell them, bite it, get out of here.
Yeah.
No, I respect the people and their stuff. So that's the thing.
I will say.
Someone said we need super glue on my chair. Yeah, because I do move around a lot.
Oh.
Hey, my wife's watching. Hi, honey. But yeah, I definitely want to get that done this year if possible. We'll see. I'm hoping. And I'm very excited that you're going to be coming. I'm going to try to sit down and talk to you some more.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe during setup or whatever, but I want to talk to you more about other things. And I definitely like to bring you back again on the show.
We'll do it.
Yeah, definitely. And my wife says, hi, everyone. And Mona Jones says, hi, Sydney.
Hi.
You probably meet Mona at the conference, too.
Okay.
But
yeah, I love to come talk to me.
Yeah. The thing is, you got so much more to share. And we already been at this for over an hour.
It goes fast.
Yeah, it does. It goes real fast. And I got things I got to do downstairs for my wife.
Yeah.
Well, I say we keep on talking. And yes, I was told, yes, bring her back. How about we bring her front and sides with her, too? But yeah, definitely. It's been a pleasure, Sydney.
Thanks for having me, for sure. It's been great to talk with you and hear more about everything you've got to experience. I've loved that.
All right. Yes, I know that's a nice lamp behind me, Angel. You should know it. She made that lamp back there, cut a Bigfoot on it with a branch. Let's see if the light's going to work. There you go.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah. That light bulb keeps going out. It's ready to die. John Stasko said we should do a roundtable discussion one night. I think that'd be a good idea. But anyhow, we'll see you in about 10 days.
Yes. See you guys then.
And I really enjoyed tonight. I was really looking forward to this, Sydney, because I knew you had a lot to share. And you made a lot of sense, too, with a lot of that. And I love that. And I learned some things. And I love that. But anyhow, stick around. Let me do my outro.
Okay, cool.
As soon as I find it. Boom.
This has been an Agents of the Unexplained original podcast. Like us on Facebook. Subscribe and view on YouTube. And please visit our store link in the bio. Thank you for listening. And remember that paranormal is the